So it's time for a look at the big business stories of the week. Joe Lynam, as you can see, is here to take us through them. Donald Trump under fire, but he was last night saying, look at the latest jobs figures, and he's got a point.
Yeah, they're pretty good. 209,000 for the month of July. They also revise upwards the number that they estimated for the month of June. So in the last 2 months, there's nearly 500,000 jobs created. So he can definitely say that this is all me. But the Democrats will also, I'm sure, say that this is all due to the hard work that was put in place and the structures that were put in place while President Obama was in place. But at the moment, I suppose he could feel a little bit passionate about the results.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Someone else passionate, the boss of RBS, after this time last year, 2 billion in losses, I think. This year, very different story.
Do you like my tie? Apparently my colleagues pointed out that it's the RBS official logo. That is a total coincidence, I need to say.
Well, it's probably a sackable offence as well.
Probably anyway. A sackable offence, and in a career-ending two-way. Yeah, profits up to just shy of £1 billion for the first half of this year. Now, if you juxtapose that beside the first half of last year when the losses were £2 billion, the losses, that is a notable turnaround. Having said that, though, the boss admitted today that the full year numbers for 2017 will end up as a loss, and that's all due to bad behaviour before the financial crisis.
OK, now, car figures. Previously we've been talking about good figures. They're slow. Well, they're not slowing down. They're falling, aren't they?
Yeah, for the fourth month in a row, they're down, car sales in the UK. Down 9.3% this month compared to the same month last year. Big drop in sales in diesels. People are worried that they're going to end up paying, kind of pay-as-you-go fees for diesel cars. Huge jump, though, in non-ordinary fueled cars, so electric vehicles and hydrogen cell and all that kind of stuff. They've soared, but it's still a tiny fraction of the business. Let's go to David Buik, who hopefully will illuminate some of this stuff and help us put some meat on the bones. Good afternoon to you, David. Can I ask you about the US economy? It appears to be firing on all cylinders.
Yes, but I don't think, Joe, we really should be paying too much attention to just the raw figures, because the most important thing is unemployment is down from 8% 10 years ago to 4.3%, down just a pip from 4.4% last month. But I think the figure that everybody looks at is this wage inflation. And it's only at 2.5%. Admittedly, inflation in the United States is only at 2%, so they're rather better than we are at the moment, where we're at 2.9% inflation. And we've got about 1.8 to 2% wage inflation. It's still, frankly, fairly anemic, and there's an awful lot of people who've given up applying for jobs as well, which people mustn't forget. So a lot of people say they're great figures, and of course Janet Yellen, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, attaches probably more credence and importance to these figures than anything else she looks at during the course of a working month.
RBS, this side of the Atlantic, pretty decent first half numbers. I'm guessing that without the legacy issues, this would be a profitable bank.
It would be. I mean, NatWest itself in isolation has done incredibly well. But again, we have to go back for history, to go back to 2008, when the ludicrous sum of £28.6 billion was paid for ABN AMRO. And since that day, the Royal Bank of Scotland has managed to lose £58 billion, which is a not inconsiderable sum of money. So Ross McCoy has got to be pretty excited about the 939,000 half-year profit. £1 million, sorry, big pardon, profit.
That's his bonus.
Well, I don't think it is actually this time. But I think the thing is that the Department of Justice have got still an outstanding figure. It's probably going to be £5 billion for mis-selling, which you alluded to, which will, of course, take Royal Bank of Scotland into a loss for the 9th year running. But things that do matter, like Tier 1 capital was at 14.7%, which is very encouraging, and the domestic business is growing. The costs are being cut by £500 million each year. So there's a lot to be very happy about, but we're going to be at least another 2 years. The share price went up 2.5% today, but it's still about half what we need.
David, with due trepidation, Simon McCoy wants to ask a question.
I wondered.
I don't know if you saw this interview with Ben Broadbent, the Deputy Governor of the Bank of England, but he's suggesting that if there is a rate increase, it'll actually be higher than we're all fearing.
Well, I think what they're saying, Simon, is that probably rates could go to 1% by the end of 2018, and then perhaps even to 1.25% for 2019. But what I do think is that if interest rates do go up, the wafer-thin margins that people have and the percentage increase for borrowing costs would pretty much kill the economy here. It's pretty weak as it is at the moment. So any talk, unless we can get wage inflation up dramatically and also economic activity, and there's no question that lack of clarity over these Brexit negotiations are temporarily damaging us, I think we better sit on our hands and leave those interest rates where they are.
Now, staying with lack of clarity and Brexit, etc., car sales notably down a fourth month in a row. A bit worrying, or is this the kind of, we hit peak car, do you think, a few months ago?
I think some of it's to do with registration, but I don't want to hide behind the fact that there's no question that confidence has gone with a lot of people. And what is very interesting is that the number of car companies, when they buy 25 vehicles or more for business use, Joe, has gone down substantially. And I think we're down 2.2% on the year. 1.5 million cars have been sold, which is not the kind of figure that you want to do. But as you say, you talked about the hybrid cars. They're up 16%, but it is from a very small level. Though hybrid and electric cars were 2% of the market a year ago, they're now 5%. Oh. We'd need to see some improvement in the whole outlook on cars, though.
David Buik there from Panmure Gordon, and we will swap his distinguished features, hopefully, for the markets to see how they closed for the week. We should have the RBS numbers there as well. Do you see the RBS numbers?
No, they're not there.
They're not there, OK. Well, and the FTSE 100 was up 0.5%. A lot of it was thanks to RBS. Their shares were up about 2.5% today. And have a look at the Dow. That was up considerably when these positive non-farm payroll numbers came out, but it's off a little, so it's only up a smidgen now, about 0.1%. And that's how they will suspect finish the week in a few hours' time.
Yeah, I'm looking for the RBS figures. I haven't got them.
It's difficult to get the staff these days, Simon.
We've just lost one, I tell you. We'll miss you, Joe. Thanks very much.